Welcome back to Dating Intentionally. I'm Talia. I'm sharing no-nonsense advice for navigating dating and relationships with confidence and ease, whether you've been dating for a while or you're just starting out. I believe dating can be fun, and I'm here to help you enjoy the process. Today, I'm joined by Hannah Anderson and Mackenzie Foltz. They're the hosts of The Dating Detectives, one of my favorite podcasts, even though I'm really not someone who's ever been into true crime. I love the show, and I also had the honor of being a guest on the show a few months ago. Mackenzie is a private investigator with over 20 years of experience, and Hannah is a writer and comedian. And together, they have built a show that I think takes the most ethical and compassionate approach to true crime that I've ever come across. And their show introduced a term that I had never heard of before. Maybe you have. And that term is dogfishing. So this is different than catfishing, which is when someone uses a fake photo or identity online to cover up who they are. But dogfishing is when they are who they say they are on the surface, like they're not covering up their identity. But the deeper you go, the more you realize that they've been lying, manipulating, or scamming you the entire time. And today, we're going to break down exactly how that happens in the context of dating. And in this episode, we talk about the early red flags that are easy to, brush off, the psychology behind love bombing and why it works, how people use their own traumas and unmet needs against you, and we get into practical safety tips for dating app users. Also, we talk about what to actually do if you think you're being dogfished. At the end, we're going to answer a dating dilemma from someone who's been upfront about her boundaries, and the guy she's dating keeps crossing them anyway. I loved hearing Mackenzie and Hannah's take on that, so stay tuned at the end. And as always, I love to hear from you. You can DM me on Instagram at dating.intentionally, drop a comment on Spotify, or email me at talia@datingintentionallypod.com. And if you prefer to watch all these conversations, they're all there on YouTube. My channel is Dating Intentionally. Would love to have you there. All right, let's get to it. Welcome, Hannah and Mackenzie, to Dating Intentionally. I am so excited to talk to you guys today. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad to be here.
We're so happy to talk to you more because you were so wonderful on Dating Detectives.
Thank you. That was one of my favorite recordings I've ever done. It was so fun to
Oh my God, how cool. Thank you.
And just chat with you guys. And I just want to say, I love your show so much. To anyone who has never listened to The Dating Detectives, like, I'm not a true crime person, so it wasn't on my radar until your producer reached out, and now I'm hooked. You guys have the most ethical approach to true crime I've ever heard. Just the way you talk to your guests, the way you kind of have so much compassion for people involved, and just it's amazing. So everyone watching this, like, please go listen. It is entertaining, but I've learned a lot.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to us.
Yeah. So I want to start with the basics. What is the difference between catfishing and dogfishing?
Oh, Hannah's really great at explaining this.
I have a video that I made that was like a fake educational tutorial on this.
It was real.
It was real. That's true. So we made up the term dogfish. Catfishing, we all kind of know. You're using a fake picture online to fake your identity. Dogfishing is when you're not using a fake image. You are who you say you are when you meet, at least your likenesses. But as you get deeper into knowing them, they are conning or lying or scamming, or if they're on The Bachelor, maybe they would say they're not there for the right reasons. They say that all the time. But it's really just that deep, deep betrayal that comes in a relationship when someone is not who you thought they were. They're a dogfish if they do that to you.
Yeah, no,
copyright.
That sounds horrible. yeah, copyright. That sounds horrible. I mean, yeah, like I remember when catfishing was really, it became so mainstream, and I hope that your show puts dogfishing like even more on the map, because the things that happen, it's like you never think it's going to happen to you, or you think it's like so crazy, but like it's so common for people to just lie so much through dating. And so I'm just glad you're doing what you're doing and kind of putting dogfishing on the map, because it needs to stop.
Yeah. And with catfishing, it's easy to be like, oh, like you're clearly not the person who you say you are in the pictures. But with dogfishing, it's a lot more nuanced, because it's like a lot of our guests often find themselves wondering, am I crazy? Is this my anxiety, or is this my femtuition? Is this my gut telling me something's wrong? So it's a lot more nuanced.
Yeah, I would love to hear from you guys, like, because you've heard so many stories. Mackenzie, you've been doing this work for over 20 years. What are some subtle early red flags of a dogfish? And maybe some things that people miss because they seem so minor.
I think things like, and we talk about this a lot, is not having any social media presence. I think that's a big one, only because a lot of people can say, well, I just don't, I'm a very private person. So it's something that can be used to just say, hey, I know this is the way the world is, but that's just not how I am. But it's also a red flag because who in this day and age doesn't have a social media presence? So
or even just
weird.
a presence online. Like I want to be able to
something
find proof of you.
Yes.
Because I know
like
people
LinkedIn.
come at us when we say that because they're like
LinkedIn something. And let's be real. Whenever you are looking for someone, you find usually a platform where you have to create an account to be able to use it to find someone else. Your name is always going to be linked to something. And when there's nothing, that's weird to me. That's strange.
It's weird.
So do you think that's like them using a fake name or like they're just really hiding something?
Oh, we have absolutely had people who didn't have social media, quote, didn't have any presence online. And then they find out that they had social media under another name with tons of pictures of their wife and children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it was public. Like it was all, they had it. They just told you their last name was different or something. And then you never found it.
Mm-hmm.
We have an episode called The Origin Story, which is the story that inspired our producer to start this show. And it was her friend and the guy she was seeing said that he had coded himself off the internet, which
and off
I don't
Google,
know much
off
about
everything.
coding, but I don't think you can do that.
Like I know one of your sponsors is Delete Me, right? And that's awesome. But like you can't. Can you code yourself off the internet? Is that even a thing?
No, stop it. No, stop.
Yeah.
Delete Me is like a step to help protect you, but you're still on the internet. We're all on the internet.
It's like when you post a Yeah, it's like when you post a picture online and then like you delete it. By now, someone has already screenshotted it. It's in a backlog somewhere. There's something, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you mentioned social media thing, kind of red flag. Maybe you have to do some deeper digging there.
Just another one that comes up all the time is rushing early on. Way too fast. And I'm sure you have a lot to say about this, Talia, because even if you're not dog fishing, it can still be that false sense of intimacy and infatuation that feels like, let's just get married. But there's often a motive behind why somebody wants to lock you down fast. And it feels so good. Why does love bombing feel so good?
I know. It really does. And they know that. They know that it feels good. And we spoke to someone who is a human trafficking expert. And one thing that they said that they pointed out specifically was targeting those unmet needs. And that's what people do, is they target those unmet needs. And that is so common. And that's where love bombing comes in, because a lot of us, we have a need for that. And that's an unmet need for so many people. So when you love bomb, it makes them feel so good. And that's so you can easily become a victim that way, and they know it.
I want to touch on that because I've listened to a lot of your episodes recently. And one thing I have noticed with all the stories from guests who come on is that there's the rushing piece, and there's a piece where your guest who's telling the story is divulging something that like traumatic that happened to them, or there's something in their past that just like it's like an open wound. And it seems like the dogfish in each story is really leveraging that information. So what do you make of that piece?
It's manipulation. So as soon as you give them information where you're saying, this is something that bothers me, or this is something that's been an issue for me, they make sure to narrow in on that thing that you're telling them so that you feel safer in that. Because if that's your biggest point, that's your biggest point of contention, they want to fix that first. So we're going to fix that. And then we can paint our own narrative around it and just keep growing from there. So they can it's that unmet need when they solve that problem. Everybody, it's just like when a business or a company wants to sell a product, they want to solve a problem for you, right? As the consumer, it's the same thing. They want to solve that problem.
I think also a good example of what you're talking about, and it's come up a few times, if somebody has previously dated a drug addict, for example, or has drug addiction in their family, or personally has dealt with it, then that dogfish can then use it for sympathy. Like maybe they use addiction as an excuse for poor behavior because they know that will be something that you're sympathetic to. And that's the other form of manipulation, where they take your weak points or and use
it against you.
And use it against you.
Weaponize it.
And Talia, I want to hear your thoughts on it, because I don't want people to walk away and say, okay, I'll never share my trauma. I'll never share what happened to me. You can. I think we just have to be aware of our unmet needs and aware of our maybe blind spots, if you want to call it that. Just
that's a good word for it. A
you
blind
have
spot.
to know yourself enough to know what will make you fall for somebody before you're ready. And that takes a lot of time and a lot of journaling or therapy or whatever it is you got to do. But you have to love yourself before. What does RuPaul say? If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? But it's like, if you can't understand yourself,
right?
How can?
Well, my thought is like back to what you said about going slow, right? And versus the rushing factor, because yeah, when you're like sharing something so deep and heavy, traumatic or painful with someone, like could be a genuine point of connection at the right time. But before you even know who they are, especially before you've met them, which I obviously have noticed on your show, a lot of people will divulge this stuff through texting before they've even met someone. And then like I was just listening to the Twitter vegan one, and she in the beginning of her story, and I'm not spoiling anything because it's just the beginning. I haven't even finished it, but like she met someone over Twitter and was like telling them about her toxic ex before they had met. And this person on Twitter was like, oh yeah, you like, he didn't deserve you. They didn't deserve you or whatever. So like, that's just, to me, it's like, okay, be careful what you share when. Maybe meet them a few times before. Cause so you want to be vulnerable, but you have to time it well.
I know we're your guest, but can I use your resources and brain? Because I have found that, and my friends have experienced this too, especially heterosexual dating. Like sometimes we'll go on a first date, connect and talk about a lot. And that guy is like, oh my God, nobody's ever known me like you. And you're like, oh, this was kind of just a basic conversation for me. Like, I think sometimes a woman's level of intimacy is not the same as the man they're dating. And it feels like, I don't know. I just want to like get better at not divulging.
I think, okay, my advice is, and this is what I was going to say about this conversation in general for everyone listening, when you're having that moment, is just don't place a lot of meaning on it. Don't like, okay, cool, you shared something, but it doesn't mean they get you. It doesn't mean they know you. It doesn't mean that they are trustworthy. It's just like, okay, we shared some stuff. Let's
take
not
it with
read
a grain
into
of
it
salt
anymore.
in the beginning. Yeah. You can share it to give context, but don't fall into the trap that someone might be setting when they're like, oh, I really understand that. And they want to ask more questions. And it's like, still keep yourself guarded as long as possible. Like really make them earn your trust.
Trust but verify.
Yes, you guys say that all the time. Mackenzie, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this. Something I noticed on your show and your work is there's a lot of lies. There's a lot of lies that you have to field. So what are some signs that someone is lying? Like when they're telling a story or just, when they're sharing stuff.
They're talking. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm totally kidding. I'm someone who, I always think everybody's lying. We interviewed lying experts, and they have a book called Big Liars? Yeah, Big Liars. But they, in general, they told us, they were like, listen, for the most part, people don't really tell big lies, like maybe little fibs. But in my experience, that's all I deal with. So I can tell you that like when even my clients that hire me to try and find out if someone else is lying, they will lie to me to make themselves sound better. And I'm like, listen, you're not doing yourselves any favors. Like you're not doing yourself any favors by telling me, oh, I've never cheated, but I want to see if he's cheating. Like, I don't care if you cheated or not. There's no judgment here, but people will lie to make themselves sound better, almost as a way to like make the other person sound worse. And so it's just a matter of what narrative someone wants to give you. And it's like, okay, then you have to determine what would they benefit from if they were lying to me. So then you have to kind of dig a little bit deeper. And then you have to do this. Is this my anxiety, or am I really dumb for thinking this, or am I really, really smart and like nailing this? And so then it's like, well, you have to figure out what benefit would they have from lying to me versus not lying. And it's like, if someone comes to me and says, I was a perfect angel, I didn't do anything wrong, and I think he's cheating. No, you're not. Like, tell me the real background so I have more context. Even though it's none of my business, it might help in the case. You never know. But I kind of feel like it's just so common for people to lie. And then the people that I catch lying, they're usually lying a lot more than the person realized they were. So it's all I deal with is just lies.
Wow.
And also, what you always say, like, if it doesn't make sense, it isn't so. And
If it doesn't make sense, it isn't so, period. And if it does, in the rare case that it is so, then fine. But most of the time, if it don't make sense, it isn't so, period. Done.
Yeah, the one that stood out to me that was on your show that was I listened to the crypto one that was kind of recent.
Yeah.
It was a two-parter. I love when you guys do two-parters.
Keep you on your toes.
The guy in that story was telling this whole thing about how he watched his wife die on FaceTime or something. Wasn't that part of it?
Real sob
And
story.
I was like, that makes no sense to me. Like, that was like, what?
But what kind of monster would say, I actually don't believe that you watched your wife die on, like,
right.
It's like they say something so sad or traumatic, like they have cancer or they have this story. And you're like, I can't say I don't believe them because what if they're telling the truth? Like, you know what I mean? But you're
That's
right.
like when people say the
Crazy thing to
cancer
say.
thing, like, oh, I have cancer. They're trying to manipulate you to like feel sorry for them or whatever. And it's like, who says, no, you don't, shut up. I mean, besides me, like, I'll be like, no, you don't, prove it. And but then they can doctor's notes.
Yeah. So if someone's listening has been in the situation where the person they're dating and maybe they don't know them very well is sharing this dramatic sob story, they don't want to come off like an asshole, be like, no, that wasn't. So like, what is your advice for that situation where they're like, I feel like something's fishy here, but I don't want to be an asshole?
You'll find a pattern. They will say something to contradict what they've said eventually. So it's like you almost kind of have to have a little faith in the beginning, but also kind of know this could not be true. It'll come full circle in a minute.
I also think that there are other lying signals around a lie like that. So where you might not be able to have that initial conversation, like maybe they don't have cancer, but they're not going to want you to go to a doctor's appointment with them. Or they're going to ask you, like we've had an episode where she was like, she told her girlfriend, please don't tell my roommates. I don't want my roommates to know because I don't want them to carry this burden. And then it was only on the girlfriend to know this burden, but really it was because it wasn't true. So there are other little red flags that surround a big lie. And those are the things that can really help cement what you assume.
Right.
That's what I was saying in a previous episode on another podcast. I was saying the community around someone will give them away faster than anything.
That's like, well, on one of your episodes where I listened to where it was the time traveling one. And the guy was like, don't talk to my mom.
Yeah, don't talk to my mom. She's going to lie to you. It's like, I actually want to hear her side of the story now.
That's like saying my ex is crazy. No, she's not. Stop.
Wow. Okay. So what else have you guys seen in terms of how patterns of how people will deceive someone in a dogfish situation?
Whenever we have a lot like the crypto scam and a lot of the financial scams, it's never someone saying, hey, can I have this much money? They're always making it your idea. They're always saying, oh man, what do we call it? Dry begging?
Dry begging.
Oh, this would be really cool if we had a house together going forward. And then little by little, they're planting the seed. So over the next couple dates, they're planting the seed of like this fantasy to the point where they're like, oh, I don't have any money, but if I did, we could put a down payment on this house. And before you know it, it's your idea. You're saying, why don't I give you the money for this down payment for this house? And so now they've gotten the money from you without ever even asking, just by manipulating you into thinking it was your idea. But they're the only ones who've ever talked about it. But most people want to be they want to take care of you. They want to fix you. They want to help. Most people want that. And so then when it's your idea, it's like, oh, well, they didn't ask me for the money. How could they possibly be scamming me?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, like if someone notices that, but it's like, oh, I really care about this person, I do want to help. What's the moment where we're like, okay, wait, pause. And really, like, what should I think about if I'm not in that situation to really decide if this is the right move?
If they were to leave tomorrow, if they were to ghost you tomorrow, where would you be? Is this something that you can recoup? Is this something that you can tie a leash on and say, okay, I'll give you this, but I have this string attached to it so I can yank it back if I need to?
Yeah, and if you didn't get it back and didn't get what you were contributing to, would you be okay? Because there's a chance you won't.
Would you be okay? And so then it's like risk versus reward. Like if you invest in something, you could lose your ass on it, like you could lose everything. So you have to determine the risk versus reward. But then it's like, a lot of times we do it because we want to earn this person's love and respect, and we want to show them that we're willing to contribute to this. But also, what am I getting back? And that's a bad mindset to have. What am I going to get in return? But also, what are you going to do for me?
I feel like with the stories on your show, a lot of that times that moment comes again really quickly. All the time span of these stories are so quick. It's like 6 weeks, a couple months.
The gas pedal.
Right. And it's like, okay, if you're 3 years into a relationship, you trust this person and there's some like, okay, like this, your partner of 3 years like needs some money. That's a little bit different than someone you just met or haven't even met.
Yeah.
Kind of dry bagging, which again, whenever I hear that, I'm like, wow, like that is so terrifying.
Yeah, because it becomes your idea. And how do you dispute something that was your idea?
I want to go back to the episode you mentioned, the time traveling episode, because that was a tricky one where he was known as an investor, at least based on what he shared, and had other clients that he was able to verify. And it was basically like a Madoff situation, spoiler alert. But he went to prison for these financial crimes against many people, including her. And that's a great episode to listen to because a lot of people feel really dumb when this happens to them, and none of them are. If you need to hear a story from someone who is so smart and brilliant and successful and talented, and it still happened to her, that's a great episode.
Yes.
Like my hero. But yes, it was kind of quick, but she was like any of these episodes where it is 3 years in when that happens. I don't know that there's a clear answer for how to navigate it because it's so bizarre that somebody would do that to you so deep in, but obviously they would. I was going to ask, because I've kind of set like rules for myself. I'm single right now. And so I'm like, I'm not going to join finances until this point, no matter who they are, what they say, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do, like, I've just set the parameters ahead of time so I don't have to make those decisions in the moment. I hope that works.
It's called boundaries. Yeah.
Oh, those are good here.
Yeah.
But also
great.
but also, Talia, going back to where you're talking about like the length of time, where is the limit? How do you determine like, oh, it has to be 1 year but if you think about it, a lot of these happen so fast because in those honeymoon stages, we're at a different level we're at a lower level of heightened security. So we're kind of, because we're enjoying the love and the attention and the affection in this honeymoon phase because it's new. So it's human nature to be like, this is new. I love this. And you're just, oh, this is amazing. You're in this state of euphoria. And so you might be a little bit more willing to kind of show what you have to offer. And so you're willing to do these things. Whereas later in, you're like, you're still here and I haven't had to do nothing. Screw you. You ain't getting nothing from me. So it's just about the mindset and where you are mentally and where those unmet needs are and what's being met at what time. It's kind of interesting, which is why I understand why things can happen so fast, because you're in this honeymoon stage and you're in this excited, sense of like euphoria. Especially
when you're with someone who says they get you and they understand, they can relate to whatever your wound is that you've shared with them early on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I want to take a quick break, but then I have a lot more questions. People always look at me like I'm crazy when I tell them this, but I am usually in bed by 9 p.m. and I wake up every day at 5:30 in the morning without an alarm clock. I know. I've always been a morning person, and what really helps me get a full 8 hours, even as an early riser, is having high quality bedding. We just upgraded our bed with Boll and Branch, and I'm never looking back. They make everything your bed needs and what you need for a solid night's sleep. Their signature cotton sheets, pillows, blankets, and comforters are all designed to be breathable, incredibly soft, and they get better over time. I'd recommend starting with the signature sheets, and while you're at it, get 2 so you can rotate them because washing bedding is a whole ordeal. We also added the waffle blanket. It's hard getting up sometimes because I am just so cozy in there. The biggest difference I notice is how breathable the sheets are, and I'm not overheating in bed. I definitely run hot at night, and having Boll and Branch sheets help me stay asleep, which is something that I've struggled with in the past. There's nothing worse than waking up because you're too hot or uncomfortable, and then you can't go back to sleep. And since we made the switch to Boll and Branch, I've been sleeping so well. Upgrade your sleep with Boll and Branch. Get 15% off your first order plus free shipping at bollandbranch.com/dating with code dating. That's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/dating, code dating to unlock 15% off. Exclusions apply. I don't know about you, but the second the weather gets nice, I spend some time flipping my wardrobe, putting the cold weather stuff as far back in my closet as I can, and putting my warm weather stuff front and center. And with the new season, I love getting some new pieces, especially from Quince. I continue to go back to my Quince pieces every week, and it might have something to do with the fact that they use premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra soft denim. I just picked up one of their linen dresses in an olive color, which is something I constantly want to reach for in my closet. Like, throw it on, it looks good, I don't have to overthink it. And I might grab this dress in another color because it's adorable and I can see it being great for summer vacations as well. Quince clothing tends to be very packable, easy to maintain, and everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not a brand markup. I love Quince's high quality and affordable pieces, and if you haven't tried them yet, what are you waiting for? Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/Talia for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Talia for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Talia. Welcome back. Hannah, I really am so curious. How has the dating detectives changed the way you date?
What a good question. Because at first I was like, is anyone going to want to date me now that I have a podcast with a PI and all of these?
I didn't even think about that part.
I really don't want people to leave the dating detectives feeling like there's no love in the world and there's no possible way to find someone. And I still believe it hasn't broken me yet, but I just trust myself more. I see it as getting resources from this show rather than breaking my spirit. Like, knowledge is power. Just because we're hearing some horror stories doesn't mean that they're going to happen necessarily. But there is I like actually find a lot of comfort in the maybe, where it's like, there's a lot of things that we're just never going to know the answer to going into a relationship. And we do have to kind of accept that there's a maybe. Maybe this person will break up with me, as simple, like, and that'll suck. Right. Maybe they'll cheat on me and that'll really suck. But it's like, am I armed with the community to get through it? And community, I think, like we've been saying a lot on this episode, it's the one thing that I think everybody can use as their defense against the dark arts of Dogfish. Like,
yeah, I love that. I love that it hasn't broken you. I love that you are still feeling positive about dating. And I will say, like, the stories on your show, like, it doesn't, like, when I listen, even though I'm married, it doesn't leave me with a bad taste in my mouth about the dating pool. If anything, it's like great that we have all this knowledge from you guys and resources to protect ourselves more, even though it could still happen to us, even with all the knowledge. Like you said, all your guests are smart women and people who, it can happen to anyone.
Yeah. And men, it happens to men too. We've had
men. Yeah. Right. Right. The story
we talk about it less.
Was a guy.
They talk about it less for some reason, but it's, it's still there. Women can be dogfish too.
Yeah, no, but the story we did, it was a guy who hired you, Mackenzie. For the listeners, like, just based on all the things you guys have learned, what do you suggest that they do when they're using dating apps specifically to protect themselves a little bit more?
There's a long list, I feel like.
Okay. Well, we all know the basics of like, we all know the basics of like meet in public.
Meet in public. Yeah, there's like the safety side. There's the protect your heart side. There's so many elements of it.
Let's do the safety side more.
Start safety.
I'm going to take this away real quick. So first of all, we need to talk about how there's a stigma behind, oh, my ex was crazy, or she's psycho, or, oh my God, you want to know that? That's crazy. Girl, ask all the questions, do all the digging, do all the research, do all of it. Because the person who says that's too much has something to hide. The person that says, you looking into this? Okay. Do you need my help? Like, would you like my mom's phone number? Like, do you know what I understand that that's kind of not something you want to do right away, but I'm someone who would do that because number one, it's kind of my, like, I know how to get information pretty quickly, but I also feel like I don't waste my time. Like, I don't want to bother with this person if I know, if I find something on them, I'm just not going to be interested to move on, whatever. But I feel like you are not crazy if you look them up online, try to find all the information about them, and even ask them questions. And the person who is not bothered by it, they don't have anything to hide. They're willing to give you the information, period.
And they looked you up the same way, hopefully.
Exactly.
Right.
And you understand that this is how we are now. And I feel like we are so worried about being roped into this, oh, she's crazy. Like, oh, I don't want to research him because he might think I'm crazy. Let him know that you're crazy and still choose to be with you. That's the one. That's the one that's going to come bring you coffee or breakfast in bed every morning or whatever.
And
Yes.
yeah, it's like,
so true.
He's going to appreciate the crap out of it. He's going to be like, good for you. Like, you really, because then what you're saying to him is, I ain't taking no crap. And you're basically saying, I'm going to find out everything I can. And then he might say, man, if she's this protective of herself, imagine how protective she'll be of our children. And you know what I mean? Like, you want somebody who understands if you guys aren't on the same wavelength anyways, then that's not your person anyway. So
also, if somebody doesn't like look me up online, I'm like, why not? You mean you didn't find my pictures from high school? I have two practical safety things. One is to get a Google Voice number, which is completely free. Giving your personal phone number makes it really easy for people to find your address, find more information about you. Google Voice keeps a bit of a separation. And also, if they do turn out to be a wackadoo and they're spamming you, you can block them on that and they don't have your number. Just have a number for your early dating, and that's your separate number. And I also like it because sometimes I'm like, it feels almost a little separate where I'm like, yeah, these are the people that are my core people that I'm texting. And then these are the people that I'm interviewing.
But they have to earn their way into the real DMs, the real text. Yeah,
totally. I also wanted to plug this brand called Invisaware. Have you heard of this, Talia?
No.
Oh my God, it's so good. So basically it's jewelry, bracelet, necklace, and it will know, there's an app connected. It's cute, but if you tap it twice, it will notify your friends and family your location and specifically that you're in an emergency. It will also call authorities who immediately call you. And if you don't answer, they'll call the police, send your location, or you can answer and say, I need help, and they'll help you. So it's just a really nice way to feel double protected in a situation. And this is not just for dating. I think people in a domestic violence situation aren't close to their phone, aren't close to their pepper, whatever it is. Like, this is a bracelet. This is on you all the time. So it's cute, it's fashion, but make it safety. I'm like all about Invisaware right now.
That's awesome.
There's also, I just recently learned about this, I think the other day, there's a setting on your phone where if you are on a date with someone and you feel unsafe, there's an emergency contact you can put into your phone where you hit one button. And when that one button activates, you can hit automatic and it'll take a picture of where you're at with your phone, with your iPhone, take a picture, send it to your contact. It'll send your exact location and it will notify authorities. So everybody knows what's going on, where you're at that exact time. And I thought that was really interesting too.
Though there's so many different ways that you can kind of take precautions. I love that you guys are sharing all this. Like, I personally didn't do any of this. I followed the basics. Like, I used the apps to communicate primarily, met people in person, in public. I definitely told friends and family if I was going on a date, like they knew where I was. But I also went to places that like were just, I trusted it, like lots of people around. They knew me. Like, I'm a big fan of you picking the first time to meet someone so that you are in control. Like, first location, I mean.
Yes.
I know a lot of women are like, they
Where
want the guy to plan the date. And I'm like, no, girls, like ladies, like you can pick the location, pick a place you know and
have your spots.
Feel safe. Yeah. Yeah. So I also just want to touch on this because I know there are a lot of guys listening, and if they're hearing this, like, wow, like women really feel like they have to like do all this research and protection. Like, what the fuck? Like, can you tell us a little bit more just about like why, you know, for the guys listening?
Yeah, statistically, that's an easy justification. But the whole thing with like, would you choose the man or choose the bear? It's like, yes, some bears are cute, but we don't know if we're getting a cute one. Like, it's not, we're not saying that all men suck. We're just saying that, like, if you're walking into a situation with somebody that could potentially be a predator, we're going to just be cautious until we know that you're not. And it's not offensive. It's not a man hating thing. It's truly just based on the world we live in. And yes, of course, women and other people can be bad too. But I think there's just like, obviously, guys that get it.
Yeah.
And I think they'll appreciate that and respect that, and in this day and age, there's so many ways and so many options for us to protect and defend ourselves. Why wouldn't we? If the resources are there and we have, and that's another reason that I've loved the Dating Detective so much. The last 3 years has just shown us that the more you talk about it, the more we're putting a name on it, the more we're calling it what it is, and we are having a conversation about it. Now we're creating a Me Too moment with all of these other women that are saying, oh my gosh, the same thing happened to me. I didn't realize that this is something that's so common. And the more we talk about it, the less we're hoping, the more conversation around it, then the more we identify it, the less it can happen potentially. And you're creating this community that's bigger. And now women are understanding how they can protect themselves a little bit better. And again, statistically, men are physically more violent than women and stronger than women physiologically. And so that's kind of, it's a great way to, but that's not saying that women can't totally be a dogfish to a dude. Like women can lie just as easily. I just think it's less talked about.
100%. I really appreciate you guys getting into that. I want to come back to something we said earlier about like research, because this comes up sometimes with my listeners. And this isn't necessarily a dogfish situation, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Where let's say I'm researching someone I'm dating and we've gone on 3 dates and I find out that they were previously married. They didn't tell me they were. They didn't tell me they were divorced or anything. What do I like? Is this the kind of thing that like you would recommend being like, by the way, I know this?
I would.
I probably would, because, and you said 3 dates in, right? Like not.
Yeah, like you're a couple dates in, so they've had a chance. But I just know also like hearing the other side of people who are navigating dating post-divorce, like they have been in the dating pool for 20 something years. They just sometimes don't know when to bring it up and they feel weird about it. So it's like not like malicious or them being sneaky. It's truly sometimes just
them finding their own time to tell you.
Why not just ask them like, hey, I wanted to like have a conversation about, I feel like we're at a point where we can maybe talk about previous relationships more in depth, because I'm curious, like, have you been married? Have you been through stuff? Like you can kind of lead the witness a little bit. And if they lie to you, then they're lying.
Right. It can be a little delicate, I think, with that.
It can be delicate, but also this is our life. Like I'm not wearing no kid gloves. If it was me, I'd probably be like, so, I am someone who really is interested in knowing more about people. So in, my adventures and my investigation, my research, I saw that you were married and, tell me about your past relation, like make it okay. Right. Like kind of give them make it okay. Like I saw that you were married. Like how was that? Do you want to talk about that? Is that something you'd mind sharing? That way you're telling them, hey, I know, but also I'm not hounding you about it. Do you want to share about this? And you're kind of opening the door. And then if they say, well, why do you know that? Why were you looking me up? You're out the door. Because I did. That's why. And if you have a problem with it, then you're not for me, period.
I also would lean in, like me personally would be like, yeah, okay, I like you. I looked you up. Like you could use it as a little flirt. Like
I like
flirty. You to look you up.
I like this advice, Mackenzie, what you said about make it okay. Like you're just saying like, I want to learn more, not why didn't you tell me? It's just like, tell me more. And Hannah just say, like, okay, I looked you up because I'm interested in you. Or it is a sign of interest.
Just make it real. Be like, oh, so I see that, or I realized that you were married before, how was that? And just make it okay for them. But again, you're just creating a safe space for them without them feeling like you've trapped them. Like, I looked you up and I see that you were married. It's kind of bad. But if you say, oh, I noticed that you were married before. And if they go, how did you know that? Say, oh, I did a little bit of research. You can never be too safe these days. What are they going to say? Yes, huh? Like, do you know what I mean? What are you going to say?
Blame us. Be like, I listen to these podcasts, Dating Intentionally and Dating Detectives, and they just tell me to do this. And I do it on every time I'm dating someone. Like you can
literally say, yeah, just that. I listen to Dating Detectives. There's this private investigator, this armchair sleuth, and they give all these different things and then say, so I kind of looked you up. By the way, what kind of podcast do you like? Are you into pod? And you can spin the whole thing and then talk about your favorite podcast, things you have in common, and you can spin it.
Oh my God, you guys, this is amazing advice. I really appreciate it. My other question for you is kind of shifting gears. What should someone do if they believe they have a dogfish on their hands? What's the first step?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry if you're in that
Yeah.
situation. Because it sucks. What do you think, Mackenzie, as the PI?
Okay. So here's the thing. This is where it comes into personal preference and where you feel safe. If you feel like, well, I feel like this person could be dog fishing me, if there's a potential for that to get violent or you're worried about that, perhaps you can talk to them about that like on a FaceTime as opposed to in person so that you're safe, like you're not within arm's reach of them or whatever. Or you could straight out just ask them, what the deal is. And a lot of times if you're asking, you already know. It's not about knowing,
Right.
it's about confirming most of the time. And so at that point, it's kind of, you can keep quiet and just kind of keep watching, and those those patterns will continue to build, and then you'll know for sure. But if you continue to have those questions, that's your femtuition. That's you. Those questions
Right.
continuing to come about is not creating safety for you. It's not creating anything except for more questions than that's your answer.
I also think, and we have to talk about how to navigate this. I was thinking about an episode we had. I was looking up the name of it. I think it's is it the evil stepmother? There was a great episode where this person could talk their way out of everything. And most of the time dogfish can do that. So if you are confronting someone, it's important to be aware that they are going to have explanations for everything that make you feel really, really good. I don't know if that was the name of the episode, but it was so funny because it was happening to a woman's father. It was her stepmom essentially. And when she was like coming back to get her stuff out of the shared home, the daughter stood on the porch and like wouldn't let her in because she knew that if she let her in to talk to the dad, she'd get back in. And she was like, no, I'm like bodyguard right now.
Yeah.
Like, I know
Right.
you have the tongue that will just slip your way back into my dad's life. And that is so common. So yeah, obviously having conversations is very valuable in relationships and communication.
Okay.
Creating a space where you can compare, like having a mundane conversation that is the truth, that there's no reason for them to lie about, like, oh, I like gardening. Do you like gardening? Whatever. And you're both talking about it. You can see how they respond. And, oh, what is your favorite flower? Whatever. And you can see how they respond answering genuine questions. And then you can see how they respond when you're asking a question where you're trying to get information out of them. And you can see the difference. You'll hear the tone of voice, the inflection. You'll hear if there's a little bit of a vibrato, tells you that they're a little bit nervous or they're anxious talking about it. They might bring their shoulders up to their ears. Shoulders up to their ears means they're being protective, which means they're usually being like kind of secretive. If they're back and it's
Also
a little bit of Darvo. Yep. Darvo is a big word. It's what is that?
They're gonna, if they deny and then attack you, reverse victim and
offender. Yeah.
So if that happens.
What?
Yeah, if you're approaching them with something and they try to spin it around and make it on you, and sometimes we do that without thinking about it, but other times there are people that will do it all the time. But then sometimes talking about gardening, we don't need to do that. So you'll notice the difference.
Right. Okay, so you're saying the advice, if you think you have a dogfish on your hand, you probably already know you can be direct, but of course create safety for yourself. So like you don't have to be with them in person if you're worried about that. Is there anything else? Like, is it just like other than breaking up with them, obviously, and ending the relationship? Is there anything else you would do?
I mean, back to that question and this, like community being part of that process is huge, whether it's like having them there for the breakup conversation or just like, because they're not in the BS. So they can see through it better than you. And that's not your fault. So I think just making sure you're not isolated from your people, and advice to the friends. This is also tricky, but it's really easy as a friend or family member to be like, I don't like them and I'm mad that you're dating them. And then suddenly that person who's in the situation doesn't want to talk to you anymore. So as a friend, like finding the balance of being an accepting, non-judgmental friend while also holding them accountable is difficult, but so important, because that way they don't, like, you can break up with the person, but it's very easy to get sucked back in. I don't know if I've ever had a breakup where I didn't like second round, if you know what I mean. Like,
that's also why abusers want to isolate you, because they don't want the input from people who can see you for what you are. They don't want them in your ear. They want to isolate you so that you solely rely on them, and so that other people can't talk you out of it, or they can't tell you what they see that you might be blinded to because of love.
I have noticed that with your stories. The isolation piece is the scariest part because a lot of your guests that come on who talk about this, it's like they don't even realize that it's happened until after the fact.
Right.
And
it's so common.
It's just like, yeah. And it's sad because I feel like that it's hard to see when you're in it. And it's so manipulative. So I guess another observation I had about your show is that all the people who come on, they seem to like have hope, or they find someone after, like they've moved on, they've had their dogfish story, and they're like put it behind them. What are some themes? Like, how do people do that? How do you think your guests are doing that?
Once you get through one of those bad experiences and you've experienced a dogfish and you've overcome it, it's almost like this dopamine hit of look what I have overcome. Even if you lost money or you lost time or energy or whatever, it's like once you overcome it, now it's like, now I know what to look for. I've seen it happen. It's happened to me firsthand. And you have this sense of, you still have to be cautious, but you have this sense of, okay, now I know what to look for. So it's almost like people seem to feel more confident in their ability to spot it now. And so they can trust themselves a little bit more. And so they're less willing to put up with the garbage, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And once you leave something like that, you've chosen yourself.
Yes.
And doing that changes your whole life, because suddenly you're like, wait, what else can I do for me? And that makes you that's what we're all hoping to get to when we join the dating pool. Like, we want to be the person that's like, I know I'm confident in how great I am and that I'm capable of something. And I just heard something recently about how confidence, like the best way to build your confidence is to do the things you say you're going to do. Because then you're like building trust repeatedly with you. If you're like, I'm going to make my bed, and then you don't, then you suddenly like trust yourself a little less.
Yeah, because you didn't follow through. You couldn't even trust yourself to do it. But so it's almost a sense of empowerment. So once you move on and you're like, I've been through that and I lost a lot, but you know what? Now I can do this. And then you start to be a little less trusting. But now it's like the person that you are with now, it's like you're either going to accept that I'm a little less trusting or you're not. And most of the time they're with someone who understands and they're willing to, work with you through it. And that's when you find the light at the end of the tunnel or whatever.
Ah, that's beautiful. I mean, I'm always, again, really impressed with your guests and the way they've moved on. I think also community is another big one that you've been saying, Hannah, over and over. I think is another additional reason why they're able to like get through it and come out on the other side with like just a different point of view and more strength. So a
lot of them become the resource for their friends going through it.
Right.
And that is empowering too.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to take a quick break and then we're going to get into our dating dilemma. All right. Mackenzie and Hannah, are you ready for your dilemma?
Yes.
I hope.
Okay. So no, it's nothing like a dogfish story. I just chose one that was like a little sus to me. By the way, listeners, you can submit your dilemma in the show notes. I read one on every podcast. So thank you to everyone who submitted. All right, here we go. I, female 34, I'm dating a male 33, and we have been seeing each other for almost 3 months. He has a large platform on social media, and I let him know multiple times that I didn't like seeing him like other girls' pictures. He tells me he will do better about not doing this. Recently, he did it again, and I told him I needed space and to think and to say before confronting him about the situation again. He keeps apologizing, but he's apologized before, and I'm scared to make things official due to thinking he will do this again. Am I in the wrong? Am I thinking too much into this? His actions clearly show he likes me. He's texting me, we get together, but I feel embarrassed knowing that if we start a relationship and he likes other girls' photos, I'll look dumb, and the girls will think he's single, and I'll feel very disrespected. Should I move on or give him another go?
Can I take this?
Yeah. What do you think first?
Move on. He's done. We're done.
Yeah.
You've already told it doesn't matter what it is. The minute you tell someone I am uncomfortable with this and they ignore it, you are basically, they are showing you what your value is to them.
The boundary.
They are saying, they are seeing your boundary. You clearly communicate your boundary and they continue to cross it. They don't care. He does not care about your boundary. And the longer you let him cross that boundary, the more he's going to cross more boundaries because he knows you're not going to do nothing about it. This person, he might show you that he cares in other ways, and that's great. And that keeps us going, right? Because we're like, oh, but he really does love me. But you're clearly stating these boundaries. This is a no-go for me. And everything that you're saying about how you're going to feel if this continues is going to happen if you let it continue. Period. Done.
Yeah.
Bye.
I agree.
Agree.
I also I was thinking about some of the questions I might ask, like, oh, what are they friends photos? Are they solo bikini photos? Are they exes photos?
I'm assuming they're like models. They're like Instagram models that he'll never talk to, but like,
okay,
but maybe I mean, they could be friends, but I'm assuming
that's like
it's
a
like
classic
OnlyFans
where,
or.
and guys listening, like, if you're like, why is that so hard for women? It's like, it's just like,
why is it so hard for you to not? Just don't do it. What's the big? You're basically, when you like someone's post, you're basically saying, hey, look at me, I'm here and I'm acknowledging you. You're basically acknowledging another woman, but just by liking it. So a lot of people might say, well, what's the big deal? The big deal is that it doesn't matter what it is. You've set a boundary. If you say picking your nose is a boundary, if you do that, I'm done. And he says, I don't care. And he continues to pick his nose, we're done.
And what other
if you say peeing with the door open or you putting the toilet paper on wrong is a boundary for you and they continue to cross it, they do not care. And if it's a big enough deal for you to say something and they don't care, then that's it. They're done. They do not care, period.
And you don't have to talk yourself out of your boundaries, especially if you are, she said, what, 34? Like,
yeah,
she's at a point in her life where especially now is not the time to waste time. Not because of any like time clock. I'm not saying a biological clock, whatever. I'm actually going to be 31 in a couple days. I was like, I just turned 30. Nope. Very much.
But also,
but it's like, I don't want to waste my time.
She's 34, but he's also 33. What are you doing liking people on Instagram? We're grown-ups now. Go call your mama and ask her what she thinks. That's what I say. Tell him, go call his mama. Tell her to call his mama and ask her what she thinks.
Talia, tell me based on your experience helping people if you agree, but I think it should be really easy early on.
Yes. I mean, I think that like some guys don't really realize that like we said on the show, we're looking at you online. We're looking at your behavior. We're looking at how you act. We're looking at what you post and share and what you like. It's all public. So if you're publicly liking bikini photos and all this stuff, like that's for your friends to see, for your family to see, and for your future partner to see. So like think about that.
Also, I want to point out just real quick, Talia, on what you're saying. I am someone with a large following on social media. So I understand that when you make yourself visible to other people on social media, I don't know what this guy's niche is or what his platform is, whatever, but sometimes you want to like someone's post or whatever so that other people see your name and it grows your following. I get that. So as someone who maybe his job is solely social media, but there's a way to do that more tactfully. And so again, I don't know what his niche is, but unless there's like a specific reason he's liking their post to get people to his page and that's how he earns his income, fine. But someone is telling you this is a boundary for me, and clearly she knows that this is not his income and he doesn't have to do that. So
I like that you said that. My last relationship was with a musician, and a lot of musicians are like being promiscuous, and like that's like how people are. And I'm like, go off. I love that. But like he was really good about like, yes, they were people he was working with, but like if they posted something that was like really, really sexual, he didn't need to like that one. He can like the next one. Like, there are ways for somebody to work that into their world and their social media world without disrespecting you. And I like never felt insecure about the people he was working with because of that. And I easily could have.
And even if he explained to her, even if he explains like, hey, this is my job and this is what I do, and the reason I do this is so that other people will come to my page. Maybe he's a model and he needs women to come to his page to grow his platform or whatever the reason is. If she says I'm uncomfortable with this is something that in the beginning should have already been talked about and discussed. He should have said, like, she would have already known like what he does for a living and would have understood. But the fact that she's saying he's doing this and it's driving me crazy, and he just says, okay, I'm sorry. That tells me that he doesn't need that. He's not, he's not, there's no business reason for you to be here. So get out.
And even if there is a business reason, if it doesn't work for you, then leave. It's fine.
Yeah. Your boundaries are legit.
You're not immature because you don't want to date the model. Like that's okay. No. You don't have to be.
Totally. You guys are so spot on. I mean, I hope that if she's listening, that she follows this amazing advice, because I agree. It's just, it's a boundary. He doesn't care. And that's it. That's all she needs to know.
There is someone out there who will respect your boundaries, but it's not this fella.
Yeah, 100%. Mackenzie and Hannah, this has been so amazing. I, again, adore you both and your show and what you're doing. Where can everyone find you?
We love you, Talia. Thank you for having us. We are Dating Detectives Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. And I am Freedom_Barbie on all platforms. Mackenzie Folds on Facebook.
I'm mostly just Instagram. I'm Hannah Andergram. Get it?
Love it. I'll link it all below. I'll also I'll link the episodes that we reference below because I think people should listen to them.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Everyone listen to Talia on the latest Mackenzie cover episode because she gave great advice. It was Mackenzie telling a PI case she's been on, but then, yeah, we got to hear from you too, and that was awesome.
It was so fun.
Thank you again, Talia. We adore you. Thank you so much.
So what did you think? Did you learn anything new? Tell me in the comments on Spotify or shoot me a DM. I always want to know what's landing for you in these episodes. What I took away from this conversation is something Mackenzie said, which is, if it doesn't make sense, it isn't so. It sounds simple, but I think a lot of us override that instinct, especially in early dating. If you finally hit it off with someone and you're like, but our connection's so strong, I've never felt any like this about anyone. But then if there's just something that feels off, you have to trust that. You know, your intuition, or as they like to say, femtuition, knows best. I also love what Hannah said about community being the antidote. I think a common theme that I have seen in like listening to their episodes is that dogfishers isolate people on purpose. And the best thing you can do is stay close to your community throughout the dating process. Your best match is not going to try to isolate you from your friends and family. So if someone tries to, that's a huge red flag. So I hope you go give the Dating Detectives a listen, and I linked the specific episodes we talked about in the show notes. I think you'll get hooked just like I did. And I hope you follow Hannah and Mackenzie. Their handles are in the show notes as well. And thank you so much for being here. Thanks for trusting me. Don't forget, you're doing great. And if this episode gave you something useful, share it with a friend who is dating right now. It might be exactly what they need to hear. And if the show has helped you, a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify genuinely helps more people discover the show. So thanks for doing that. And once again, I'm Talia. This is Dating Intentionally, and I'll see you next time.